Hey, folks. Yeah, you know what I mean. When it rains, it pours. I was just on this channel yesterday, and I probably should have been on my main channel because yesterday was an interesting day, nostalgia loop wise. But things take you in different directions. We say hello to Tim Frey in the live chat. Gary Gygax was a lot of things, but not being sexist was not one of them. Thanks. That an opinion from the live chat. Look, I want to look. I've got some prepared notes. The purpose of this video that I'm making right now, Mario Heat, in the live chat, is not to answer the question, whether or not Gary Gygax was or was not sexist. Okay? It is to go through one post made by another individual on YouTube, an individual that goes by the Namde Plum or Namde Video, I guess, whatever it was, of the basic expert, a lovely individual and a happy person. Jonas I joining us at lunch that ostensibly wanted to prove ostensibly that Gary Gygax was not a sexist. So the purpose of this video is not to answer the question whether or not Gary Gygax was or was not a sexist, but is just to go through that post and make an argument that the basic expert, if they were trying to prove that Gary Gygax was not a sexist in this comment, in this post that they made, I know that they've made many videos on the subject. I'm responding to, they posted something in their community, just like, paragraph or something, making an argument. I responded to that. They responded in kind, and so I'm making this video to just try and lay things out as systematically as I can, to just say, okay, some arguments may make sense to people, and they may, especially when people are feeling activated and excited about something, but don't necessarily work. So I'm going to analyze this post and make my argument why, if this post was trying to prove that Gary Gygax was not a sexist, why this post by the basic expert doesn't make the case. And I'm doing this not to start a fight. Just call me Jared Leto Joker. I don't want no beef. I don't want no beef. Right? Which is going to be hard to do because I don't want to make any assumptions. But based on, we say hello to Bucky in the live chat as well. I don't want no beef, but I do want some Bucky. Depends on what kind of Bucky's being served up. The basic expert could sometimes be, it seems like he's wired to react. He's very passionate about his positions. But honestly, the purpose of this video is not to start a fight. Look, if we're having, debates in a forensics club, like in a debate club, we may be assigned positions that we don't necessarily agree with. If we're lawyers in a court of law, we may be assigned, or we may have clients or parties to represent that we don't necessarily believe in, but we have a job to do. But in the world of the marketplace of ideas, hopefully we are debating not just to win. We say hello to Catherine as well. We're not trying to win. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to get at some sort of truth. We're trying to improve things. We're not just trying to win for the sake of winning, though we might, for psychological reasons, feel the need to do so or the want to do so, but I don't think that that's an effective paradigm. So I'm not here to win a debate. I'm here to try and improve things. If there are people that are thinking in a way that I think is caught up in some, bad illogical reasoning, I'm going to try and show why I think that that's problematic thinking. And I just want to say this before we go into this, check yourself. Do you have a pre existing position on these issues? Are you passionate about Gary Gygax? Are you passionate about the basic expert? Because what often happens is we go into things like it's the Bud Bowl. Tastes great, less filling. Charged up like life is a game. If you're really out here trying to live life with intentionality, trying to live life with purpose, trying to live your best life, I'm going to argue that you want to be not just paying lip service to being open to other arguments and other points of view. You really want to be open to other arguments and other points of view. So, really think at this moment about finding your assumptions. Can you hear me? If I say things that you disagree with, are you going to be able to hear that, analyze that, and take that on without just initially hearing that you disagree with me or that I'm coming from a different point of view and then just be in a mode of hear new thing, immediately start thinking about what your counter argument to it can be? Can you hear me or already knowing that I've identified that I'm rebutting or replying or taking a contrary point of view to the basic expert, someone you're subscribed to and someone you like and someone who you know you've identified as someone who's an ally in a position that you've adopted regarding this culture war that's going on between the libs and the progressives and their fight against Gary and taking Gary down and Gary's under attack. And can you hear me? Are you listening? Are you in flux? Are you open? Are you closed down? Predetermined and predecided and already know what the score is? Because if you've already decided and if you're not open, then there's no point. Because you're done. You're at a dead end. You've stagnated. Don't be. I'm not here to tell anyone that they're wrong. If you stay with me to the conclusion, you'll see. My ultimate resolution of the issue is there is no resolution of the issue. I want to make an argument to you that this question is pointless. But before I can get there, we got to go through why I think some of the arguments that are put forth here that may have made sense to you for what seems like or may have seemed like completely logical and rational reasons, if you think twice about it and reflect on it, don't work at all. And this is an argument that is put forth not as an argument to be argumentative, just because that's the word that applies. This Bucky has this damn right I'm sexist. Gary Gygax, Europa Magazine, August, September 1975. That's pertinent to the issue at hand, and we'll get there. And we'll get there. But like I said, The purpose of this video is not to answer the question whether or not Gary Gygax was or was not sexist. It is to go through one post that ostensibly wanted to prove that he wasn't and show why I don't believe that it successfully did so. And we're doing this not to start a fight, but simply to move the conversation forward, to help the other side, if you want to posit it that way, sharpen their position and or see how their reasoning was potentially problematic or just didn't work, and that to set up my rebuttal thesis, which is the question is impossible to answer because what does it mean to be sexist? Racist, homophobic, transphobic? Is it binary? Is he either sexist or not sexist, racist or not racist, transphobic or not transphobic? To either pass the test and pass muster, or don't, or fail and fail out? And if it's subjective, then how are we hope to answer the question whether or not someone is or isn't this or that? There are things that can be established objectively, and it's a very narrow category of things that can be objectively ascertained. And the qualities of whether or not someone was or was not sexist, there are cultural reference points, there's historical reference points, there's evaluations, and then it comes down to, if it's subjective, who has the right to the final answer? And therefore, by extension, who has the right to condemn those who think otherwise? Because let's face it, the reason this entire conversation has gotten started is because there are people who are upset that other people, in moving forward with the historical IP of Dungeons and Dragons, in reprinting materials and in reevaluating those materials for reprint, make the decision to change things, to put boilerplate warnings in the fronts and forwards of things, to explain things, because the historical context of certain things have changed. And there are certain people who don't like that. And they think that that's degrading to the original authors. They think that's besmirching them, or whatever. But we'll get to that at the end again. We'll come back to that conclusion. Again, do you believe in freedom of speech? Do you believe in freedom of belief? Do you believe you live in a country, whether you believe you live in America, Canada, Mexico, or one of the European countries, where freedom of belief and faith and speech is protected and respected? On whatever side of the aisle that you find yourself politically, can you understand and accept that while you may be of the belief that this individual or that individual's behavior or past behavior was or was not problematic, or did not qualify them or disqualify them, or as this or that, that other people may disagree with you and may in fact voice the opinion that they believe that Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson, M.A.R. Barker, whatever, was this, that, or the other? And can you accept that you have to live in a world where people are going to say things about people you like? And the ultimate final conclusion I'm going to have to say is this: FYI, bringing it all back home, this is a effing game. We're not talking about the Prophet Muhammad. We're not even talking about Joseph Smith. We're talking about Gary effing Gygax, and, with all due respect, you gotta be able to put this shit in proper context. You do. You really, really do. So let's just get to the videotape. I'm just gonna show you this is the post, and we'll get to it. Let me do the whole share screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the original post. So here's basically what happened is this. It's nobody's fault. I do better on video than I do in text. So here's the deal. I basically read the post and I thought it was didn't do what it intended to do. So, TLDR, it'd be too long, couldn't write. Yeah, I didn't want to write War and Peace. So I just came up with the best response that I could, which was not necessarily, and you'll see where we go with this. And then of course there was a back and forth and there was cheerleaders that joined in. We'll just get to it. But let me start by just looking at the post itself and go through it line by line to just show how this is how you don't prove that Gary Gygax wasn't sexist. And remember, folks, whatever the evidence that Gary Gygax was sexist was is whatever's there is there. Whatever arguments people have about him being sexist, what you'd have to do is you'd have to look at those statements and you have to analyze them. We'll see. Well, let me just get to it. Let me just get to it. There you go. Did he just okay, there we go. There you go. God bless y'all. Here we go. Let me go to the top of the thing. Blah 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 blah. Here we go. And we'll do this. It's the classic problems that we see a lot of times, and a lot of people just what are you going to do? And people come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and all sorts of levels of sophistication. So we still have people that do things like I'm not racist. I got plenty of black friends. You know what I mean? How are you going to say that Abraham Lincoln could have ever been problematic? He freed the slaves. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You're going to call Donald Trump homophobic. Oh yeah, Milo Yiannopoulos would disagree with you, and he's gay as f. Okay, you know what I mean? It's just what. Oh yeah, you're going to say Gary Gygax was sexist. Yeah, well, you're a dude with a beard, and Harmony Ginger has a JJ, and she says he's not sexist. So checkmate. To which I say, ha, that Mm. We'll get there. We'll just get through it slowly. I say as I lie, but that's okay. I lie all the time because I'm human. I'm only human. So I hope you're seeing this. Let me double check that you're seeing this. Here we go. I got to stretch this leg out before I get to Charlie Horse because I'm a slut. Oh, I made that connection, but here we go. Here we go. So here we go. This is the basic expert who is a this guy is just the one thing that you'll know if you go subscribe to this channel, which I recommend you do, because what you'll get the most out of the basic expert is happiness. He's just a happy individual. Like most people who are saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. The one takeaway I get is give your life to Jesus and you'll be happy, satisfied, content, and relaxed. This guy is he's chill as fuck. He listens to the other side with calm decency and aplomb and comes up with a reasoned response that is always starts with kindness, travels through humility, and gets to a closure of hug. Is that yeah, I'm kidding. Listen, a woman was one of the first paladins and clerics ever. So this is him. This is the argument that Gary Gygax wasn't sexist. And why was Gary Gygax not sexist? You're going to call Gary Gygax a sexist? Oh, yeah? Well, a woman was one of the first paladins and clerics ever in D&D. A woman typed up the three Little Brown Books and the original OD&D and did the layout. To take Gary's very clearly sarcastic comments about being sexist at face value shows you are not very intelligent or smart. And then he's got the photographic proof. This is the gal in question. Typing all these percentages from a movie. I remember the rules and things I typed. And there's Gail, one of the original Paladins. And my understanding is that Gail was the sister, was Gary Gygax's sister-in-law, or was the sister-in-law of his wife. So we'll go through this one at a time. So steel manning the basic expert's argument, I think I'd have to say you may have established that Gary Gygax was not the type of sexist who believed that all women and men should be separated at all times, right? There's some societies and communities where the separation of the sexes is absolute. So he's allowing a woman to play with him in AD&D. So he thinks that women are capable of playing games. So he's not the type of sexist who believes that women shouldn't be allowed to play games of chance, who can't engage in recreational activity with men. So he's not that. He's not like that type of sexist. So you've established that he's not that type of sexist, but that was never the allegation. We know what the allegations of this. We know what the specific comments that he's made in public are. We know what the materials that have been addressed in the D&D and AD&D material that have been analyzed as potentially being problematic in regards to sexism, misandry, like sexism and being problematic in regards to race relations, gender relations, et cetera, et cetera. And they're there. And they're there in the historical context and the cultural context, and how people feel about these things has changed. That's what we're dealing with. And, Elon Musk gets involved and throws his 2 cents in. It is what it is. People have differences of opinion. Hasbro reproduces a 50th anniversary book and makes statements regarding their reprinting of the old materials. If you're a libertarian, hey, they have the right to say what they want to say in regards to their reevaluation of the materials. You don't think that their reevaluation of the materials is correct? You don't think that he's sexist? Okay. They think that he is, or they think that the issues are of the issue that they want to address it. Whether they're sincere or they're pandering, that's their decision that they've made. But my point is this: the fact that a woman was one of the first paladins and clerics doesn't answer the question about whether Gary Gygax was sexist. Why? Look at the Wikipedia article on sexism. Take a entry-level community college class on gender, on women's studies or gender relations. You'll see that the question of sexism, what sexism is, what constitutes sexism, is not addressed or answered by whether or not a person will game with a woman. A woman the next sentence is even more bonkers, because you say a woman typed up the 3 little BBs, little brown books, and did the layout. That's basically saying that Gary Gygax is not a sexist because he let a woman do secretarial work or layout and page design. First of all, we know that the person who did that, like I said, was specifically that typesetting, I believe, was his sister-in-law or the sister-in-law of his wife. So that does nothing to address. We could say that he's steel manning the argument. You could say, well, he thinks that women are capable and competent to do layout and design. But we also know that it wasn't solely his decision, because other people were making the decisions as well as to who did what. And we also know that it was all hands on deck when it came to the publication of the original OD&D materials in 1974. Everyone was getting involved, including college students who, some of which were absolutely, totally rank amateurs. Again, it does not address the issue of whether or not he was sexist. To take Gary's very clearly sarcastic comments about being sexist at face value shows you're not very intelligent or smart. Here's what I'm going to go with that. Whenever a person, well, I'm not going to say that because this is the problem with absolute statements. Whenever a person says all of the time, every time someone does this, anytime a person does this, you know that. When everybody talks about things 100%, everybody on the other side, we know that everybody this, when everybody talks in absolutes, you know that it's bullshit or not true because nothing ever works that way. Nothing is ever 100%, 100% of the time. To take Gary's very clearly sarcastic comments, that's a judgment evaluation about whether or not the comments were sarcastic, especially when it comes to certain types of statements: sarcasm, irony, joking. No one understands that by the very definition of the quality of those communications, which by their very nature are veiled, innuendo, non-specific, and subject to interpretation, by their very nature kind of deceptive. Whenever anyone says very clearly it's a problem, it's not very clear. That's what makes it, that's how it works. Sure, you have instances like, Homer Simpson dancing around. Look at me, I'm making everybody happy. I'm the king of Happy Land. And in case you couldn't tell, I'm being sarcastic. Whenever everyone says it, clearly they were being sarcastic. Clearly they were joking. Clearly they were doing this. Generally, what happens, I say generally, not 100%, but generally, when anyone has to say they were being sarcastic, they were joking, they were being ironic, it's because the following has happened. Someone said something, either in real time or in the past, and it got unearthed, and then they're catching shit for it. And either they themselves or they, in defense of someone else who made a statement that's now problematic, needs to defend the statement. So, how do you defend problematic statements? It was sarcasm, they were joking, they were being ironic, they were being sarcastic, etc. I don't know it for a fact, but I believe it to be the case that the basic expert doesn't know. He's passed many years ago, never knew Gary Gygax personally. And if he had, he would have met him briefly in the context of the basic expert being a huge fan and Gary Gygax being one of his heroes. And what does that mean? It means the basic expert is not well suited to evaluate Gary Gygax's character or whether or not his statements were sarcastic or not. He's not a good judge of Gary Gygax's character. Why? Because he is in a position to be inclined to give Gary the benefit of the doubt. And you in the audience, if you're a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons, might be inclined to want to give Gary the benefit of the doubt as well. I'm inclined to give Gary I don't care. Listen, I'm completely counter-revolutionary when it comes to most people on the left. Most people on the left, or not on the left, on the right, whatever, most people, when it comes to questions of sexism or whatever, might consider some of my statements extremely sexist, derogatory, this, that, and the other thing. Nobody passes muster these days. To some people on the extreme, but then again, on the extreme, there's people on the extreme everywhere and all over the place. But that doesn't settle it. But what does settle it is this. You can't establish that the statements were very clearly sarcastic because you don't know. But we do know that you, not knowing whether they were sarcastic or not, feel as though you could say that they were sarcastic or not, and then saying that people who didn't know that they were sarcastic or not are not very intelligent or smart. But of course, you don't do anything to address other things that you've addressed in other videos. But what you also knew were around here, the other questions about the materials or whatever. But look, a lot of the reason that a lot of people don't think that there's a problem with Gary Gygax is because the statements that Gary Gygax has made, or the materials that were written that some people think are problematic as being sexist, racist, homophobic, culturally insensitive, culturally appropriating, or what, people don't have a problem with because they don't have a problem with those materials because they don't have a problem with what's happening there. And when they've heard it articulated to them about why people have issues with that, have responded and said, "You got a problem with that? Blah, 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 blah. Pink haired, gay, albino, lesbian, weirdo, San Francisco freak, get the fuck out of here. Go back to Twitter, go back to Reddit, whatever." So my summation and takeaway is this, is that if you think that this is an intelligent response to the question about whether or not Gary Gygax was a sexist, this does nothing. This is 3 lines of Gary Gygax can't be sexist because he played with women, worked with women, and any comments that he made about being sexist were sarcastic. And the responses are not rote responses, they're responses that are cliche because, it's people just don't understand, but we'll just keep on repeating it. Hanging out with women doesn't mean that you're not a sexist. Working with women doesn't mean you're not necessarily a sexist because that doesn't say anything about the work behavior, the work pattern, what it was, what the establishment relationship was. And even if the gal comes up and says, "Hey, I worked with the guy and he was totally cool with me," that doesn't establish it either because we address the issues at hand. We address this is the problem. This was what came up. This is why we think there's a problem. This is why we think there's an issue. It's not a defense to say, "Oh, yeah, but he also did this. He gave the money to charity. He also said this. He also did the other thing. This other gal thought he was $1 million." Okay, that's great. But what about this problem? This is the problem. This is the issue. This is what we're talking about. And some people don't have a problem with those things. We understand that. We get it. We do have a problem with it. Or some people have a problem with it. And that's why they're saying what they're saying. And you can keep on arguing against it, but there will be replies like this. So I'm making this reply. So let's go to what happened and we'll see how it plays out. 22 comments, my magic number. So I was the first response. And all I wrote was the following. Not necessarily. That's what I wrote because I thought, hey, let me just make sure that that I'm still going strong here, that I'm doing okay over here. We got Kilendall joining us. There you go. Ba 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 ba. We'll come back. We'll come back. We got Kilendall joining us. There you go. This generational is what. So here we go. So I just simply wrote in summation. I just said I thought about all the ways I could respond and reply, and I thought to myself, let's just keep it KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So all I wrote was not necessarily, right? Pithy and to the point. They put out these things. I said, not necessarily, meaning what? Those things don't necessarily arrive at the conclusion that Gary Gygax wasn't sexist. That's my point. These things don't answer the question whether or not Gary Gygax was sexist. That's it. So I just wrote, not necessarily. That's it. To which the basic expert replied, yes, necessarily, period. God bless him. To which I replied, no, you are simply incorrect. Your conclusion does not logically follow from stated facts. To which he replied, then neither does the moronic take of the activists. Activists? But okay, go back to Reddit. Okay. So I wrote back, the basic expert. That's not how debating points works. I'm replying to your statement directly. It's not a defense to point to a hypothetical mass position of generalized critics, meaning, well, yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm like, this was. And it certainly doesn't help your case to add on an ad hominem, meaning that statement about going back to Reddit or whatever. To which they reply, CW Chanter, scram. I don't care what you think debating is. I don't care about you moving goalposts and looking for a now watch this gay gotcha. Now there's a debate here about whether or not they meant to say hey gotcha or what I thought was a clearly they want to say gay gotcha. Half a British cigarette over here. My father was correct. Half a British cigarette. Just saying. So he's got the right key, but he may have the wrong keyhole. You know what I mean? I like my kicks above the waistline, sunshine. But anyway, so a gay gotcha, scram. So I wrote back, I haven't moved the goalpost once. And if you're going to make a homophobic slur, then I said that, but I meant then what's the point of defending another dude against a charge of sexism? Someone replied, Nick19 replied, homophobic slur, where? And so then someone else replied, what are the facts and where can I find said information? And then someone else replied, nowhere, just like his brain. I guess mean. And I said, gay gotcha in his reply to me, but I think I misspelled it. So that's a fact. So I got that wrong. So CWJ, the facts I'm referring to, this is me replying to clarifying things. I said, the facts I'm referring to are the contents of the original post. You say, what facts? I'm talking about the facts. The facts are what he said in his original post. I'm saying your facts, the conclusion doesn't follow from your facts. You're saying this means Gary Gygax is not sexist. And I'm saying, even if we assume the veracity of it's a sarcastic comment, these people, whatever, it doesn't logically follow that even if those things are true, that means that he's not sexist. So I said, the facts I'm referring to are the contents of the original post. And then I wrote, the irony being the facts I was referring to were the contents of the original argument by the basic expert. And then I referring to the homophobic slur, I clarify, you mean what I assume was a typo of, hey, gotcha, in your urge to be a victim. Oh, no. Nick responded to me saying that there was a homophobic slur. He says, you mean what I assume was a typo of, hey, gotcha, in your urge to be a victim, you saw what isn't there. When the basic expert said that I was trying to catch him in a gay gotcha, this person is saying that they just meant to type, hey, gotcha. And I'm saying, no, they meant to write gay gotcha, but they don't want to be accused by the YouTube algorithm of attacking me on the basis of a protected status. So they spell it in a interesting way. Maybe I'm wrong. And I wrote, so I wrote. I said I'll concede the point once the basic expert clarifies that you're correct, and I will. If the basic expert says no, I didn't mean to say gay gotcha, I meant to say hey gotcha, and it screwed it up. Then I'll be like, oh, I didn't say that. But whatever. Who gives a fuck? This guy is the sunshine. So anyway, that's it. That's it. That's the video. That's it. So what's it? What does it all come down to? It comes down to you're not going to prove that Gary Gygax wasn't sexist by producing a laundry list of ladies that liked the dude. You're not going to prove that Gary Gygax was not a sexist by producing a laundry list of positive, female character sheets that he produced, or stories about him playing with females or playing female characters. The question of whether or not Gary Gygax is sexist or was sexist or not sexist is an impossible question to answer because the man is dead. And what it means to be sexist, I think it's a deep question, but a lot of it has to do with people's the effects of people's actions and behaviors in the real, in reality. And it's a moot point now because the man has passed. And as far as the man's work is done. And as far as the intellectual property rights to Dungeons and Dragons, that belongs to Hasbro. And if they want to turn it into a digital gotcha game, a Pokemon Go side hustle on digital only media that you have to pay this, and if they don't respect the hobby the way you'd want them to respect the hobby, guess what? There ain't shit you can do about it. There ain't. Except get out your favorite OSR classic retro clone or get out your old books. Right here, check this out. Well, this is a bad example because, right? This is Arneson's baby. And even as Arneson's baby, this was compiled and written by somebody else. But you get the point. There ain't nothing that Hasbro is doing. There ain't when that whole OGL nonsense was going down. I said, "Hey, what the hell you care? There ain't nothing stopping you and your boys or you and your friends or whatever. Roll 3 to 6 down the line 6 times to your heart's content. You want to kick it real old school? Hand those dice to the DM and have them roll your stats. And we'll go learn chainmail. Go for it. Here we go. Here's Earl Greyman. Gray man. Does it really matter if he was racist or sexist? He's human. People have foibles. That's another point. Exactly. And I'll leave it at this because I think that's bringing it close to home. Again, the question is impossible to answer. What does it mean to be sexist? It's a rainbow. It's not a binary. You're either sexist, racist, homophobic, trans. No, 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 no. There are people that will tell you. That runs a gamut. Just because you're not in the KKK doesn't mean that you don't have issues around race that may need to be examined and you might need to think about. Just because you're not, hard on women or, not can't recognize yourself as being as bad as your old man when it comes to gender relations doesn't mean that you don't have issues when it comes to gender relation issues that need to be talked about or looked at. And there are a lot of old and young grognards who need to look at and understand that there are cultural elements of this gaming, of some aspects of the game, of some gaming communities that do have problems when it comes to relations and relationships with other communities and other people. And a lot of that comes down to personal psychology. And speaking about personal psychology and speaking about bringing it all back home. When I was a kid, I got excited about music, right? Real excited about music and bands. Real passionate about bands. This band could be your life, right? I remember I remember me and my friends. I remember times we would get into fist fight, almost fist fights about Slayer versus Metallica and shit, right? The fuck do you say? I remember because I was the hugest Slayer fan. I played bass, but I was the hugest Slayer fan. Now, Tom Araya, the bass player / vocalist of Slayer, sucks at bass. Here, this is a predicate to the story. You gotta know and understand that the Tom Araya of Slayer like sucks at bass. Like he doesn't suck at bass, but he barely like that's the thing about him. He like barely plays. Like it's like this is like a typical Tom Araya bass line. Ah! He spends the majority of his time singing. Like that's his job. Like his job in Slayer is basically to sing. So like while all the other like Kerry King and whoever's like the guy, the ex guy, old guy from Exodus who replaced Jeff Hanneman, like when they're going like the speed of light, he's basically like for every like 137 notes that they're playing, he's going ah, ah. Like he's just spending all his time like singing the lyrics, like yeah, you that the bass lines suck, right? But I was such a huge Slayer fan that you'd ask me when I was like 13, 14 years old who my favorite bass player was. I was like Tom Araya of Slayer. People would be like, the fuck, that guy sucks. And I'd be like, ah, you say Tom, you can't, you said the Tom Araya sucks. And I get like crazy about it. Because why? Because I was a little kid. Are you still a little kid? Because I am telling you that there are some people here. Now, you can listen to me and hear me say something that might hit you as a personal critique and criticism. And if it does, your first instinct might be to see me as an enemy, see me as someone that's putting you down, and then get up, angry at me. Or you could see me as someone that's trying to help you. If you are getting shit ass fucked up excited about people saying things about Gary Gygax, a dude who wrote a fucking game, get a fucking life. I'm fucking serious. You are fucked up in your fucking head. Get a fucking life. I would say this if you were this fucked up about a musician. I'd say this if you were fucked up about whatever the fuck. If you want to get fucked up about something, you get fucked up about you, your soul, your life journey, your spiritual journey, your integrity, the integrity of your household and your family. If you don't understand that the purpose of these games is entertainment and adding extra value to your downtime in life, then you have absolutely lost the plot. Your relationship with Gary Gygax, if you were alive when he was alive, was occurred when you went down to the store and you bought the red box or whatever box, or the blue thing or whatever. When you bought, yeah, here you go, I get it. When you bought and purchased the product, that's it. And all that extra stuff that happens with Deadheads and the Grateful Dead, that's all shit that's happening in your mind. John Lennon doesn't want you showing up at his place to chill, right? Bob Weir and Jerry Garcia, when they were alive, they're happy that you're at the concert, paying the tickets. They don't want, they get it. It's like a family, but it's not like a family in the sense that they're not donating their money. You know what I mean? It's it's not. It's a fucking vibe. Don't lose the plot. The music does mean something. The game does mean something, but it doesn't mean everything. So if you're getting fucked up about someone that you've never met, you either got an agenda and you're knowing that hyping people up on YouTube or hyping people up on Twitter or hyping people up on social media is giving you views, giving you subs, and giving you thrills by being a warrior in whatever imaginary social culture war game that you think is going on, or you're really thinking that there's some war going on that's important that you got to defend. Gary Gygax, he's, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Don't get emotionally involved or upset about what WotC is doing with D&D because that's the way capitalism works, homie. I don't know if you got the memo. And none of it matters because you can play whatever the fuck you want to play. Just don't let the game play you. And the game can play you. Just like there are people that can go down to the horse race or go down to Las Vegas or go down to Mohegan Sun and they can have just a little bit of fun, right? They can play a little bit of cards, they might lose, they might win, but they can have their fun, they could go away. And there are people that can go to the bar and they can have just a few drinks and then they can leave it aside. But there are some people that go to the bar and they never come out. And there's some people that go to the track and they lose everything. They got problems. I'm not saying you don't have to be you can't be a lifer. But if the game that we were supposed to be playing at 12 years old, 13 years old, you were supposed to play, and it could be your favorite game ever, and you could play it all the time. And it could be what you're about, but don't get manipulated. And don't start thinking that things that aren't real are real. The game is a game, it's an imaginary thing. And in the real world, it doesn't fucking matter what people say about Gary Gygax. If you're more upset about what people are saying about Gary Gygax than Gary Gygax's own kids are, then you know there's a problem. And if you never met Gary Gygax, but you got all sorts of thoughts and feelings about Gary Gygax, guess what? You need to talk to a therapist because there's all sorts of shit happening in your head. It's got nothing to do with Gary Gygax because you never met Gary Gygax. It's got something to do with you. It's probably got something to do with your old man or the old man that wasn't there. That's how it works. One minute. I love tarot cards and I love Dungeons and Dragons, but this is the worst tarot card set of all time. J. Scott Garraby. People are not buying it. There's a lot more going on with D&D than just product sale. Elon took time out of running a Fortune 500 company. I love you, J. Scott Garraby. Can we play one day? You're down in Pennsylvania. I'm up here in New Jersey. What? Let's touch tips. I love you. When I say things like this game is just a game, blah, 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 blah. I know you don't agree with me about that, baby, but I'm glad you're in the live chat. I would tell you, I'll give you guys also a preview of this. I've gone on. This was supposed to be like a 15-minute video. This has been on for an hour. And I'll tell you who else is on for an hour is the basic expert. I guarantee he's talking about this right now. People are not buying it. If there's a lot more going on with D&D than just the product sale, Elon took time out of running a Fortune 500 company, sending people to space and talking to Trump to talk D&D. Hey, listen, baby, he made a tweet. I love you, honey. You know I love you. I love you, baby. Yeah, no. Yeah, there you go. I agree. It's good art, but who renames the suit? Lucen Fairy. Yeah, there you go. I see you in the live chat, baby. Thank you for joining the live chat. guys and gals, guys who used to be gals. I got that reversed, right? Oh, well, hey, you know what I mean? Don't box you in. Gals used to be guys. There you go. There you go. Hey, I take all comers. That would be fans of the basic expert. There you go. He made a tweet that literally the Twitter he bought, and he bought the tweet about the Jay, Jay Scott. I love you, baby. Hey, listen, Jay. I love TTRPGs. I want nothing better. Listen, the this deck, they fucked this deck up, and I guarantee you what happened was this. It was the renaming of the suits is beyond that. What clearly happened with this deck is if you look at the booklet and then you look at the cards, clearly what happened was they screwed up and put the wrong art on the wrong cards. It's very I'm gonna have to go. I've tried this twice to go through and try and figure out what exactly happened, but I don't think it at first I was hoping that it was the case that they just literally had put this suit in place of this suit in place of this suit, and screwed it up that way. But I think that they actually just like screwed up all the plates, and then they just figured out that it was too expensive to screw around. So if you're a D&D fan, if you're trying to learn tarot cards, do not get this. This is a forbidden set. The only reason I'm bringing it out is because I traditionally read a tarot card at the end of my streams, and it's D&D, so why not use this one? Guys, gals, everyone in between, happy Turkey Day tomorrow, or happy Native American Festival Day the day after, whatever they're calling it. I love everybody. I love the basic expert. You're my brother in Christ, and when we fight, I feel a deep pain in my bosom. Really, the basic expert, you got to relax, bro. Why don't you chill? You know what I mean? You're saved by the blood of the Lord. So I don't know why you don't chill. Do you know what I mean? You're always so angry. Like, why are you so angry? Why don't you chill? Do you need someone to suck your dick? Because if you want somebody to suck your dick, like, I don't normally go for rough trade. Are you a believer in Christ CW? Christ CW? Absolutely. I believe in Christ CW. That guy, he's great. I used to get weed from him all the time until I quit. Basic expert goes hard. He was on this topic right away. Of course, he's on every topic right away. Very hard. That's why I'm into it. I think that's why I like him. No, I'm kidding. I don't like him. No, I do. I like him. I love him. Makes it difficult though. He's so angry. Listen, this is the two of what the fuck is this supposed to be? Let's play guess what card this is supposed to be. This is the two of what? We've got Wonder Woman over some dude in a gladiatorial arena. Two of what? There's nothing in it that indicates any sort of symbol. No, of course, I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, Kalendal, just like I have a personal relationship with you. But then again, I also have a personal relationship with Muhammad, so I don't, you know what I mean? And Allah, so I don't know what to make of it. They don't know what to make of it either. They're fighting all the time. Don't so I'm trying to figure out. Oh, this is the two of strength, which is the equivalent of what is the again the changing of the strength is oh, in this tarot deck, we have mapped the traditional suits of the minor arcana, wands, swords, cups, and pentacles to abilities within the game of D&D. Okay. Strength signifies your physical ability to move and change your environment. It is also your passion, creativity, inner resolve, and heart. These cards show seekers that they need to take action and focus on their inner strength to bring about change in the world. So, what is that? Wands? I think that's wands. Wands, swords. Yeah, okay. So swords would be intelligence. Cups is wisdom. And Pentacles is charisma. Oh my God. So this is the Two of Wands. So Two of Wands is we're working and we're keeping an eye on our endeavors and our efforts and seeing what will transpire. So we'll see what comes of it. We'll see what comes of the energy and effort that we put forth. And we await to see how our investments will pay out and pay off. And we're trying to be wise in where we put our energies and our efforts. And of course, we've got the two. So there's balance. So we're addressing these things, whether or not Gary was sexist or not sexist. Remember, I don't think it's an answerable question, and I don't think it's even worth the effort. But let's see. Let me go back to the type of the live chat to make sure that I get everyone. Here we go. Here's Lucen. Again, remember, folks, like, comment, and subscribe. If you got something to say and we didn't see in the live chat, make sure to put a comment in the comment section below. I give you my word. I will take the time to read the comments and find some way to reply and respond. If not in the comment section directly, in some sort of summation response. Am I going to PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia next week? I even know what's going on. So I'll have to look into that. I don't think so, but this is the first I'm learning about it. There you go. Thank you. Lucen is helping us. This is where they really got it wrong. At least make strength, swords, intelligence, wands, charisma. Yeah, it always gets dicey when people try to do the whole custom suits thing. CW, have you thought about making a video about Styx Hexenhammer drama, his arrest? I talked about it briefly here and there, but I didn't concentrate on it specifically. I didn't. I'm not really thinking about it. Do you have a distinguished personal relationship with God? It's not really, I don't think it's really pertinent to go near Calendar, but I get it. Happy Turkey Day. We say a little Calendar. We say a little Bucky. At one point, I'm pretty sure he said he was buying Twitter for Amber Heard. They were talking about Elon. J. Scott Garaby's happy that everybody's talking D&D and politics in same video today. Not just me anymore. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's terrible. The unfortunate thing is that it is great art, and I think that some of the writing in the book is great as well. It's a terrible that they screwed up everything else. Okay. Bucky. It's the same thing with Star Wars or Marvel. It's capitalism. What can you do except stop watching it? Lol. It's like you want to protest what people are saying and doing. People have the right to express themselves. People have the right to make the videos and the comic books and the movies that they want. You don't like what they're doing with Spider-Man. You don't like that they're publishing this with Marvel or whatever. You have the right, and especially I'm amazed at how many people who are of a libertarian bent or say they're of a libertarian bent don't simply let the quote unquote free market do what it's supposed to do. Don't buy that comic. It is what it is. There you go. There you go. So it is what it is. So I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you, there you go. J. Scott Garaby. I'll give this to you, Jay, because you love this. Did you say they added Lord of the Rings RPG on D&D Beyond? Gandalf is D&D canon. There you go. Hey, Jay. I love your thinking about certain things, including the Lego paradigm of that being a nexus world of connection where things enter D&D canon and where things entering D&D canon allows the world of D&D canon to become this multiverse where things are interconnected, and then through that interconnection, multiverse travel possibilities get created. I know I critique it in my video talking about your, was it the infinite staircase thing? I think I get to go back to that video to complete my analysis of your thing, but I remember the Lego videos with the click clack. They're all connected. Click clack. You can then go visit your Lego character. Click clack. And I also like the use of the Lego miniatures as alternative minis. I think that's brilliant too. I think that does work. So there you go. J. Scott Garrity for the win. Oh, also, in the name of Shoner, I will one day apparently talk about infinization. Infinization. Oh, you absolutely think differently. You absolutely, if you thought that figure was cool, check out this hoe. Check that out. In the name of Shoner. Yo, who I'm going to have to go after? Shoner. Shoner, right before he passed. The last thing that he said to me, he sent me, I think it was either a DM or it was a comment on one of my videos. And I think it was right before he passed. I have to do a watch party where we watch he made a 5 hour Skyrim video the night that he passed away. And I don't think anyone has done a complete watch through of that video. And I think people should, because there might be clues in there, honey. But the last thing that Shoner did to me personally, well, and I gotta say, like, because I want someone to know, because I've got a special viewer who might still be tuning in to let them know that even though I speak sometimes about Shoner in this, but I don't forget that Shoner went after one of my boys that didn't deserve it, and that boy went after specifically by Shoner because that guy was my boy. So I just want to let that boy know, if he's listening, if you have feelings of me talking about Shoner sometimes positively, it's not exactly positive because Shoner was a D-bag, but you can reach out to me. It's complexities, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But the last thing Shoner sent to me was, he said to me, you have to make videos about Condor DM. And I'm wondering if, I don't know, I've got questions about whether or not Shoner, he left this plane on his birthday. I don't know. I don't know. I'm getting out there. I'm getting out there. I'm getting out there. It's Turkey Day tomorrow, Thanksgiving. Oh shit, I gotta go. Hey, J. Scott Garrity, it's 4:20 by my laptop, but guess what? I don't play D&D for escapism. I don't play D&D for another 4:20. I don't play D&D for another Hitler's birthday or another keg of beer. Subscribe to the Basic Expert, subscribe to J. Scott Garrity, subscribe to everybody, and subscribe to me. Like, comment, and subscribe. Listen to people that you disagree with. And don't debate to win the debate. Don't debate to win the debate. Don't debate to win the debate. Discuss things with people that you disagree with to learn, to help others learn, and to increase the power of human knowledge and improve the game of life. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That's somebody's CW chanter. Anybody want to debate me about any of these points, y'all know where to find me. And it is what it is. Peace. 69, boobs, penis, rubber balls and liquor, Inspector Gadget, Gary Gygax, I hardly knew her. Ah? Kingpin.